Welcome to the 8th oldest stadium in the country, Vaught Hemingway in Oxford, Mississippi, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, where the fans never lose a tailgate and don't plan on losing the game today. A top 25 showdown coming up, two of college football's premier teams preparing to duke it out right here on this field. As we'll see the number 19 team in the country, the Charlotte 49ers, taking on the 12th ranked team in the land, the Ole Miss Rebels. We're down, and that will take us to halftime. We've played 2 quarters here. Time to go to Kevin Connors in our halftime update.
Gentlemen, tough to beat the pageantry and tradition there today in Oxford. Talk about a first half from that dude out of the backfield. He's been a total game changer. And how many top plays moments have we seen on missed tackles alone? Video game moves from one of the shiftiest players in all of college football. With that said, let's send it back to the guys at Vaught Hemingway.
Thanks for that breakdown, Kevin.
For him, because you want the opportunity to throw the ball. So when you get in the game late, you're not handing it off. We were beating Central Michigan by 80-something points. He was still letting us throw the football. It's the defense's job to stop you.
The old coaching cliche, go 1-0 every week, and for the first week, they get it done.
Yeah, great start to the season. That's what you want. You want to come out, find a way to win. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. You're going to find things to work on throughout the season, but 1-0, that's where you wanted to be.
And I think if you're the coaching staff of this winning team, you've got to like what you've just seen. First game of the year, there was tremendous effort on the field. Guys flying around, flying to the football, trying.
East Hartford, Connecticut, home to the UConn Huskies, where basketball has a championship pedigree, and there's plenty of enthusiasm for football as well. What a game and what potential drama we have in store. You've seen this script before. Top 10 team goes into a cauldron of emotion on the road and just hopes to be able to get out and tell about it. As we'll see the number 9 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on the UConn Huskies. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports College. The second quarter, that means it's time to join Kevin in our halftime update.
Guys, a first half that saw a little bit of everything there in East Hartford. And we've got to start our halftime breakdown with this superstar running back. His elusiveness, his raw power. This young man is the total package. And his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is a differentiator. A lot of guys can hit the hole. This kid can hit the hole and hit the home run in the passing game. And with that, let's send it back to the guys at Rentschler Field.
Now this team has consecutive wins, and when you start expecting to find ways to win games and you expect that you will perform well enough to do so, that's really hard to stop.
It's a mindset, Reese. This team has it right now. You can tell their players trust each other. Big situations arise in games. They're looking at each other in the huddle on the sideline, expecting to make the play that's going to help them win games. This team incredibly mentally tough right now, Dave.
And you start to build that mental toughness when you start to string together positive weeks. You start to string together positive plays. Now you know you can do it. It's not, we talked about.
Huddy-tuddy, gosh almighty, who the heck are they? Hey, flim, flam, bim, bam, Ole Miss. By golly, and welcome to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, where the Rebels are ready to take the field. We have a ranked versus unranked battle coming up here, and you know how chaos can ensue if they start smelling an upset. As we'll see a team coming off a crucial bye week, the South Alabama Jaguars, taking on the 8th ranked team in the land, the Ole Miss here. Time to go to Kevin Connors in our halftime update.
All right, thanks, guys. You've had yourselves a superb broadcast so far in Oxford today. 2 quarters of both sides feeling each other out. And it's likely to come down to which offense can find a way to generate some big plays. Adjustments will be a part of it. Maybe it's time these typically conservative play callers open up the playbook. Nothing crazy, but a calculated risk here and there to try to gain an edge in what's been a stalemate. And with that, let's head back to the Grove and our fellas at Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
formality between them and a victory as we have victory formation coming. Guys, this is a really good win for this ball club as they put together consecutive victories.
And this season, that's what you got to do. You got to put together good weeks, build on each other, build that momentum, continue to grow as the season goes along.
Yeah, David, it's all about building confidence, and it's really important for these players to go out, work hard in practice, and see that hard work really pay itself off on game day. This is a team that's really starting to believe in itself.
So that's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, I'm Reese Davis saying so long. This has been another presentation of EA Sports. Welcome to the 8th oldest stadium in the country, Vaught Hemingway in Oxford, Mississippi, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, where the fans never lose a tailgate and don't plan on losing the game today. There's just something about the nightcap. After a day of wall-to-wall football, it just seems this is when chaos ensues. As we'll see a squad from the Pac-12, the Oregon State Beavers, taking on the 5th-ranked team in the land, the Ole Miss Rebels. For EA's Tab here, and now we join Kevin with the halftime update.
Gentlemen, tough to beat the pageantry and tradition there today in Oxford. And we can't get very far into this halftime breakdown without talking about that stud linebacker. The kid's been everywhere all at once through 2 quarters. From clogging gaps to causing turnovers, he's been a one-man gang. Public enemy #1 for that opposing sideline. With that said, let's send it back to the guys at Vaught Hemingway.
A strong, methodical, workmanlike effort from this team. No frills, just get the job done and get the win.
I love when you describe my teams like that. Just consistent, methodical, strong. I don't have to do things special every single week. All I'm supposed to do is get the W, and that's what they did.
And this is why practice is so important, guys. You can tell that this team was locked in way back earlier in the week. They watched the film. They got good looks in practice. They knew what to anticipate. They knew what looks they were going to see. And when those looks presented themselves, boy, oh boy, did they ever take advantage.
That's going to do it for us from here.
Welcome, folks, to the 8th oldest stadium in the country, Vaught Hemingway, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, where folks have been shouting "Hotty Toddy" since the very early hours today. Great anticipation for a matchup that's only grown as the season has progressed. Now, a top-5 showdown. Both teams trying to make a strong statement here in the midseason. As we'll see a team coming off a crucial bye week, the Tennessee Volunteers, taking on the winners of 4 straight, the Ole Miss Rebels. For the first half here, Kevin Connors now has our halftime update.
Gentlemen, tough to beat the pageantry and tradition there today in Oxford. These 2 defenses have really been up to the task so far, and it's hard to ignore how each of these 2 secondaries have impacted things. They've stayed true to their assignments, covering each receiver like a blanket. And you know what else they've done? They've wrapped up and tackled. It's time to throw it back to our guys in the booth to start up the second half.
All right, thank you for the update, Kevin. Appreciate it for it, but it'll bring up 4th down. Well, this was an intriguing matchup coming in. We weren't sure which way it was going to go. Kirk, what do you think made the difference today?
Well, I think it's the critical moments, the 3rd downs, the red zones, the turnover margin. Those are the areas you're usually going to see the difference in a close game, and today they were able to come up on top in a lot of those aspects of the game.
And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.
Welcome to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Titletown, some call it, a moniker that many claim, but this city lives thanks to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And boy, do we have a fun one ahead. top 10 team, target on their back, going on their road and right into the snake pit. As we'll see the number 2 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on the winners of 4 straight, the Alabama Crimson Tide. For EA Sports College Football, Reese Davis with you alongside David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Time to get this game started. By the coverage unit to stop the return man. First half in the books. Time now to join Kevin Connors and our halftime update.
Fellas, you've been calling a great one today from there in Tuscaloosa. Talk about a first half from that dude out of the backfield. He's been a total game changer. And how many top plays moments have we seen on missed tackles alone? Video game moves from one of the shiftiest players in all of college football. And with that, let's send it back to the guys in T-Town.
All right, Kevin. We're at the midway point of the season, and after the showing they delivered today, this team is firing on all cylinders through Week 7.
We've been talking a lot about this team, but you want to be remembered in the month of November. The most important part and the meat of this schedule now is coming up. If you play well throughout the second half of the year, we're talking college football playoff potential.
Yeah, but you got to start somewhere, right? And I like that they started strong, made it to Week 7 now. Yes, the rivalries are coming up and more important games are coming up, but you did what you needed to do to start the season. Now just keep that mindset and keep grinding.
That's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David Powell. Honey toddy, gosh almighty, who the heck are they? Hey, flim, flam, bim, bam, Ole Miss. By golly, and welcome to Vaught Hemingway Stadium where the Rebels are ready to take the field. What we have in store for you today, a clash between a couple of SEC teams that could have season-long ramifications. As we'll see, the Missouri Tigers taking on the winners of 6 straight, the Ole Miss Rebels. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports.
You saw the coverage in the back end. Nowhere for the quarterback to throw the football. Didn't get the sack, obviously. You don't get the negative play, but you also don't give up a big one. You're feeling pretty good about where you are right now in this drive.
That's the end of the second quarter. That means it's time to join Kevin and our halftime update.
Gentlemen, tough to beat the pageantry and tradition there today in Oxford. And it's been said football is a game of inches. And guess what? Based on the comparison between third down conversion rate today and the average yard per play, how can you argue that? I mean, the low-lying fruit is to look at some of the explosive plays we've seen in panic. But really, this game is going to come down to which team is more efficient when they have the ball.
Formation coming. Winning those individual 6-second battles every play, time after time after time after time, and that leads to a victory here.
And I love when teams go out and play like it's sudden death. Like if they lose the game, their entire season is over. This game wasn't for the national championship, but you wouldn't know that watching this winning team, David. Tremendous effort and tremendous execution.
I love competitive people. I love competitive coaches. I love competitive teams that they know that their job is to go out and get a W no matter where you play. You want to play in the parking lot? We'll go meet you. Great job by this team.
Welcome, folks, to the 8th oldest stadium in the country, Vaught Hemingway, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, where folks have been shouting "Hotty Toddy" since the very early hours today. This is not a normal matchup. Two teams ranked in the top 10, colliding right here in the middle of the season, trying to make a strong statement. Big playoff implications. As we'll see the number 9 team in the land, the Texas Longhorns, taking on the winners of 7 straight, the Ole Miss Rebels. EA Sports College Football. That will wrap up the first half of play. Miller's going to wrap up the first half here. Let's kick it now to Kevin Connors with our halftime update.
Gentlemen, tough to beat the pageantry and tradition there today in Oxford. And it's been said football is a game of inches. And guess what? Based on the comparison between third down conversion rate today and the average yard per play, how can you argue that? I mean, the low-lying fruit is to look at some of the explosive plays we've seen in panic. But really, this
takes a knee. Well, they had some high hopes, Kirk, coming into this game. They practiced well, prepared well, they were optimistic, but things just did not work out, and that's a tough loss.
Yeah, their opponent just made more plays than they did, plain and simple. But there's a lot to learn from losses like this, and the smart coaches know how to use them to motivate their team moving forward.
And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.
Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA, and home to the Commodores of Vanderbilt, who hope today they will hit all of the right notes. And boy, do we have a fun one ahead. Top 10 team, target on their back, going on their road and right into the snake pit. As we'll see, the number 10 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on another team from the SEC, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports College Football. I'm Reese Davis. David, it's time now to join Kevin Connors in our halftime update.
Guys, a stirring start to things today in Nashville as we say hello from our broadcast studios. And we've got to start our halftime breakdown with this superstar running back. His elusiveness, his raw power. This young man is the total package. And his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is a differentiator. A lot of guys can hit the hole. This kid can hit the hole and hit the home run in the passing game. And with that, let's send it back to the guys at First Bank Stadium.
All right, Kevin, about that big arm of his. When you know you have a team outclassed, the ability to play to that standard and finish with a blowout like this is really impressive.
And it's almost like playing against yourself, right? You know you're better. You know you're going to win the football game, but how do I continue to still execute? This was so easy. Great execution. Just beat down in every facet.
I think as a player, you just love being in such great rhythm, and we saw that right from the get-go in this game. Offense just able to matriculate the ball down the field. Defense was not giving anything up. What a great game plan coming in, and this was just total down.
Welcome, folks, to the 8th oldest stadium in the country, Vaught-Hemingway, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, where folks have been shouting "Hotty Toddy" since the very early hours today. This is not your normal matchup, a battle of top 5 teams, 2 forces colliding here near the end of the season. Cannot wait for this one. Big playoff implications. As we'll see the number 3 team in the country, the Auburn Tigers, taking on the 8th-ranked team, the Ole Miss Rebels. For EA Sports will do it for the first half here. Kevin Connors now has our halftime update.
All right, thanks, guys. You've had yourselves a superb broadcast so far in Oxford today. And it'd be easy to say these two offenses are glad we've hit halftime based on their respective performances. It would also be accurate. Turnovers and sacks have told the story so far. And you gotta believe the play calling has been the issue, right? Time to shred those game plans and just get back to basics. That said, let's get back to the field and our guys in the booth to start the second half.
All right, Kevin, thank you for the update.
Go, 4th down, 4th quarter, game on the line, and then you just got to rely on your quarterback to make good decisions and be accurate with the football. In this case, he is not, and that, to me, is probably the ball game.
Well, Kirk, we thought it might be this kind of a game. Very small margin for error in this game. Who was going to make the crucial play at the end? And they did it to get the W.
Yeah, Chris, when games get tight like we saw here, it really comes down to who's the better coached team, who's going to execute better, and just as importantly, not letting the moment get to your head. That's a nice win for this head coach and his team.
And that is going to wrap.
Howdy. That's the greetings in these parts, and when you come to College Station, Texas, you know that the Aggies are ready to gig 'em. Kyle Field will be swaying and electric for this one. What a game and what potential drama we have in store. You've seen this script before. Top 10 team goes into a cauldron of emotion on the road and just hopes to be able to get out and tell about it. as we'll see the number 4 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on a fellow SEC opponent, the Texas A&M Aggies. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, joined here in the booth, as always, of the first half here, and now we join Kevin with the halftime update.
Gentlemen, what else is new? A really raucous environment there in College Station. Talk about a first half from that dude out of the backfield. He's been a total game changer. And how many top plays moments have we seen on missed tackles alone? Video game moves from one of the shiftiest players in all of college football. With that said, let's send it back to the guys at the home of the 12th man.
Thanks for that. Keep on winding its way toward a victory. Well, look what we have here, guys. After all the early season doubts, these guys have put together a winning streak.
They sure have. And man, they're just believing in themselves right now. This is a completely different looking team than what we saw early in the year. They're playing with so much more confidence. And David, when you start making plays, you start stringing W's together, that's obviously what happens.
Everybody gets energized. Everybody starts to contribute. Young guys start to grow up. Coaches start to believe in them. Everything starts to turn around and swing the other way. They got it all going in the right direction.
That's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David. Welcome to Starkville, Mississippi, Davis Wade Stadium, where they've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. And while today is the final home game of the season for one team, it is more importantly a celebration, Senior Day, as we'll see the number 3 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on another SEC rival, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, David Pollock, and Jesse Palmer with me. Guys, to halftime. That's the end of the second quarter. That means it's time to join Kevin in our halftime update.
Fellas, it's one thing to have a rivalry game, but when you have 2 longtime foes separated by about 100 miles battling here in the Egg Bowl, you know emotions tend to run high. The passing game for both sides has been outstanding. On point, unrelenting. They've excelled in the short game, the intermediate game, and especially on the deep ball. All in all, a thrilling display of offensive firepower, and these defenses have a lot to discuss here at halftime. With that, let's throw it back to the guys to see how the fight between Mississippi State and Ole Miss plays out.
Football changes, realignment, all of that kind of stuff. Rivalries are consistent, and winning rivalry games, well, that's just the best.
Because they hate each other so much. So you take the field against your rival. You're able to put forth a performance like that. That is worth its weight in gold, David. Unbelievable effort here by the winning team, and bragging rights now for a while.
Bragging rights for a while. It's a fun thing to be able to accomplish. Now we also got to take in the next couple games, because this is always, there's a letdown that naturally happens after these big rivalry wins. We feel like our chest is poked out. We got to look on to the next game, focus in on this next one.
So that's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollock, I'm Reese Davis.
Welcome, everyone, to the original Conference Championship game. There's simply nothing quite like the intensity when an SEC title is on the line. All the legendary players, the epic moments who have made their mark on this occasion. The intensity is simply unmatched. Can't wait for this one. This is a matchup we've all been waiting for. 2 teams ranked in the top 5, battling for a precious conference title, but also pointing to something even bigger, the college football playoff. As we'll see the number 2 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on the 4th-ranked team, the Georgia Bulldogs. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, here in the booth with Kirk Herbstreit. I think we've talked long enough, Kirk. Let's get this game going. Time runs out in the first half. And that will do it for the first half here. Kevin Connors now has our halftime update.
Chris, for many, this is the best conference in all of football. And the first half of this SEC championship was filled with excitement and incredible pageantry. And a compelling first half for a variety of reasons. Yes, there's a substantial lead to talk about, but I think it all starts with this defense that has more than made its share of big plays. If things keep trending in this direction, you can bet a ton of those backs and receivers are going to spend a lot of time in ice baths before the end of the day. And with that, let's send it back to Chris.
Wow, what a tremendous run these guys have had, and now they can call themselves champions of the SEC. That's one of the most difficult titles to earn in this sport. And now with the playoff looming, we can find out how they fare against the 11 other best teams in the nation. And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football. Welcome, everybody, to New Orleans and the iconic Caesars Superdome, the long-term home of the All-State Sugar Bowl, which this year, of course, is part of the college football playoff. We are through the opening round of this year's playoff, and now the pressure is mounting in the quarterfinals. A matchup between one side that's had time to rest and recover, and another team that's battle-tested, already off one playoff victory. As we'll see the number 9 seed in this playoff, the Washington Huskies, taking on the top-seeded team in the playoff, the Ole Miss Rebels. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, here in the booth with Kirk Herbstreit. And here we go, a college football playoff quarterfinal game. Only one team here can keep their championship dreams alive. As time expires, that'll do it for the first half. The minute's going to wrap up the first half here. Let's kick it down to Kevin Connors with our halftime update.
Thanks, Chris. The magnitude and intensity of these playoff matchups is always something special to be a part of. An entertaining first half, and we've got a multi-possession lead to break down thanks to the surgical precision of this offense. Might honestly take more time to talk about what didn't work than what did. The running game, the passing game, gadget plays have worked. Now it's just a matter of finishing the job. That's going to do it for us here at the half.
Of course, in the playoffs, it's survive and advance. This is a crucial W. Great performance, but now the stage gets even bigger. The challenges will continue going forward.
Yeah, more and more pressure will grow as this team continues to win football games, but you and I have been around this team all year long. So impressed with the emotions and how they're able to contain themselves, stay focused on the task at hand. They did that again today. They advance. Cannot wait to watch and see what they can do next week.
And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football. Welcome, everyone, to Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium, site of this year's Goodyear Cotton Bowl, part, of course, of the college football playoff. We've reached the semifinal stage, one last hurdle to clear before that national championship game. And today we're going to find out who's got the toughness and the depth to continue their drive to keep championship dreams alive. As we'll see the number 12 seed in this playoff, the Charlotte 49ers, taking on the top-seeded team in the playoff, the Ole Miss Rebels. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, joined by Kirk Herbstreit. And here we go, a college football playoff semifinal. Which team will keep their national championship hopes alive today? For the first half here, Kevin Connors now has our halftime update.
Chris, we wondered all week what this matchup would look like. So much at stake in this win-or-go-home game, and we've been treated to a fabulous first 2 quarters of playoff football. And it'd be easy to say these two offenses are glad we've hit halftime based on their respective performances. It would also be accurate. Turnovers and sacks have told the story so far. And you gotta believe the play calling has been the issue, right? Time to shred those game plans and just get back to basics. That's it for us from our EA Sports Studios in Orlando. Let's head back to Chris and Kirk for the exciting conclusion of this one, where we'll find out who is moving on in the CFP.
Well, that's a great performance in a pressure moment, but now the job gets even more exciting, even bigger as they go on to the national championship game and play for that trophy.
And this is a new era. I mean, think about the weeks, the amount of games that these guys have been able to play, and to be able to accomplish this, to get to the national championship, that says everything about the endurance of this football team, both mentally and physically, and they get one more hurdle to see if they can become the national champs.
And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football. Welcome, everyone, to the ultimate game in the college football season. Everything has built to this, the battle for the national championship and college football immortality, a moment that every young football player grows up dreaming about. And it almost feels like we were destined to get to this point. The top 2 seeds of the college football playoff have survived. They've been on a collision course all season long. They've come through the challenges and the distractions, and now they'll fight for that beautiful trophy. As we'll see the number 2 seed in this playoff, the USC Trojans, taking on a team from the SEC, the Ole Miss Rebels. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, joined here as always by Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk, everything has been building to this. It's time for the national championship. Let's crown a champ. Up the first half here. Let's kick it down to Kevin Connors with our halftime update.
Chris, thanks. What else might we expect in a game of this magnitude? Everything on the line, the eyes of the sports world on this battle with the coveted gold trophy at stake. And it's been said football is a game of inches, and guess what? Based on the comparison between third down conversion rate today and the average yard per play, how can you argue that? I mean, the low-lying fruit is to look at some of the explosive plays we've seen and panic. But really, this game is going to come down to which team is more efficient when they have the ball.
Have a national champion. For the last team standing at the top of the mountain, Kirk, national champions.
Well, it's been so much fun to watch this team play all year long. They've had some challenging moments. They've been able to overcome them. And how fitting, a close game in the national championship. They come through one more time. And as you say, they hold the trophy. They are the national champions of the year.
Well, that's going to do it for us and wrap up another outstanding season of college football. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler. This has been a presentation of EA Sports College Football. They are official, your kings of college football and national champions, the Ole Miss Rebels.